Hello, Happy New Year. New project, new year. We are learning 25 different designs and I chose elephant gray color and thistle, really pretty purple and light gray. And I will be using 7mm hook for this project. I like this yarn because you can wash it, you can dry it in a dryer, and blankets are perfect. Now, if you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you need instruction how we make in one color a granny square, please visit this video. I already set up rules for myself how I will be constructing this blanket. I will be using 7mm hook as I mentioned before, and you can use, of course, different yarn, different hook. So these are my rules I established for myself. I can use my designs, 25 designs, only twice. So I will have only 50 squares with designs. And this is design number 1. We will be learning this one today. Another rule I make is that I want the last round to be in design color yarn. But if my design touches round number 4, I will use the main color yarn. So let's learn how to make design number 1. I was using purple as my design color in this square, so I will reverse my colors right now and I will start with main color yarn, and with this case will be purple. So my gray color yarn will be my design color yarn. And this is how I make a granny square. I chain 4, close my circle, make chain 3, 2 double crochet stitches. That's my first cluster, and I separate my clusters by chain 2 in each corner of my square. And because I need to change my yarn color, I will finish the last stitch with the new color yarn. When working 2 or more color yarn in the same round, it's very important that your yarn tension is loose. And as you see, I'm hiding my ends in the beginning round by working my stitches around all the tails. That will eliminate another step that I will have to hide them at the end. Another important thing, always keep your new yarn in the back of your project and your old yarn up front when you're changing yarn color. This will eliminate extra exposure of your previous color yarn when you make a new cluster. So I'm changing yarn color again. And as you see, I want to keep my new color yarn in the back and my old color yarn up front when I'm working the first stitch. Okay, that's the last cluster in round number 1. And now, do I want to change my color or not? You have to think how your design will flow. I do not want to change yarn color here, and I want to just connect my stitch to the first top stitch of chain 3 to close my round. And I always go back turn my work for a second, so I have my chain 3 in the middle of my corner, but you can work the granny square stitches the way you usually do. So now I need to make a cluster, and I want to bring that purple color yarn. So I want to be sure that my gray color yarn is on the right first before I connect. That way my gray color yarn will be keeping that purple color yarn in place. And that's how I do that. I will change yarn color only for one cluster, and then I will change yarn color again. And I always change yarn color before I finish the last stitch. And now we are working with gray color yarn all the way to the other corner. We are skipping one corner, making only the same color yarn corner, and now we need to change. We're making one cluster, and again we are changing yarn color to finish this round. And I do speed up this video quite a bit because we are very familiar already how we are making clusters, and this video is showing you when and how to change yarn color only to make the design. Okay, so we have the design done. Now I need to make one round in the main color yarn. In this case, my main color yarn is yarn purple. So I change my yarn color. I do not need my gray color yarn until the last row. And now let's see what yarn tails we can hide. And this is exposure. You can see this gray color yarn. I actually will leave that alone, and once I hide my ends, I will pull that yarn down so it will be less visible on the right side. So as you see, this round is super easy. You just work all clusters in the same color yarn, and we will repeat the same process in the next round. For those of you who follow 2024 blanket, we already learned so many designs, so we are very familiar how the granny square is constructed and how we are changing yarn color. So if you're new to the channel, please let me know if you need anything else, if you need more details on some steps. Okay, so we are done, and now let me show you how I carry my contrast color yarn up, because I need to bring this yarn to the top. Of course, you can cut this yarn and reattach, but I like to eliminate as many yarn tails as possible. So I will keep my previous yarn color to the right, and then I move up, and then I will make one slip stitch. So it's connected to the top row right now, but I will leave the tail a little bit looser. I want to make sure that I will be able to pull that yarn a little bit and hide at the end with the yarn tail I will have. And now I'm just making one round all around in my main color yarn. Once I'm done, which I am right now, I will change my yarn color one more time. So I will slip stitch, and now I will bring that yarn up again. So again, I'm making sure I have enough room there to hide that, and then I will make a slip stitch and pull all the way down. So stay connected. Now I can cut my main color yarn, and I no longer need that yarn, but I will show you how I'm hiding all those ends. And I'm making just one round of simple granny square stitches around, and I do not make any chains between the clusters. I'm just making 2 chains on each corner of the square. And I'm almost done. Yes. So with this first video for 2025, I will show you how I hide the ends, and also how I'm arranging in the back carry over yarn so I can hide even more and will be less visible on the right side. So the most important thing is to have very sharp needle, and I know it's hard to find sharp needle with the larger eye, and sometimes it's hard to pull the yarn through. But if you find nice needle, hold on to it. It's worth it. You want to be able to go in between fibers of your yarn, not around the yarn. So first I go and try to hide the exposure of the connections, and I will just do this by pulling to the side each connected yarn. So you kind of know which way to pull. For example, here I will go like that, and then I will find another yarn, which one I want to hide, and you don't need to do all of them. As long you have one in the row or like on the side of the square, the rest will follow. But if you have long yarn tail, you can do this to every single one. And in this first video, I also want to show you how we will hide the last tail. I decided to use mattress stitch for this connection of the blanket for this year, so I need the edge to be very pretty and uniform. So this is how I do that. You want to recreate the loop that you're missing. So you're just making one loop as a front loop, and then you're going in between the stitch and you double the back loop, and then you just hide the ends. I usually reverse direction of my yarn 2 or 3 times, and I cut the yarn and I'm done. So this is our first design for 2025, and this year we will be using one color granny square. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you will follow me for the whole project and create blanket with me. Have a wonderful day now, and thank you for supporting handmade art.